Hey everybody, I want to welcome you back to the channel. Prophet here. And this will be a new addition to This Is How You Don't Beg for a New PC. Now, this morning on the Goutcast, Phil had done his first YouTube short. And the question had arose as to why does the YouTube short look so much better compared to Phil's webcam? And the explanation is Phil used his iPhone 6 to do the YouTube short, and Phil is using his shitty webcam to do his fucking streams. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to listen to the video, and then we're going to go into which webcam Phil is using, because I now know which one it is, and I'm about 99% sure that it is what he's using. And we're going to go into the specs of his webcam. We're going to look at his iPhone 6, and then there's going to be a special treat. There's actually going to be two special treats here in this stream, because it's going to make Phil look really, really stupid. Now, the way I have the screen set up here, on the left is a screen capture of my browser. On the right, of course, bottom right is Phil. And then just in the middle there is CPU usage. Now, I am recording this video using software encoding. Purposely did that, even though my system is perfectly capable of doing NVIDIA NVENC hardware encoding. But I wanted to set the system up as close to match to Phil as possible, because with Phil's claims that if he moves his webcam from 480p to 1080p, it skyrockets to 90% CPU usage or higher, and then warns him that it's going to blue screen, which is a lie, because I've never ever seen a Windows system warn you that it's going to blue screen. It just blue screens. That's the point of a fucking blue screen. So let's listen to the video here of what Phil had explained this morning, and then we'll go into more technical detail and prove Phil wrong yet again.
Okay. They're not long at all. Here's the thing. Immediately, someone watched it and they're like, "Oh my God, your video quality is so good in your YouTube short. Why is that?" Really? Like, you didn't ask? Like, okay, ready? This is an iPhone. The iPhone has a good camera on it. Always has. Even if this was a 5-year, 6-year-old iPhone, the camera would still be really good. Okay? This camera right here is an over decade-old webcam from Logitech that only records at 30 frames per second. That has an itty-bitty, tiny lens. Yes, the camera on this webcam is arguably smaller than the camera on the back of my iPhone. Okay? It's crap. I've told you guys a million times my webcam is not good. That is why everything here looks blurry, right?
Okay, so, of course, Phil has no idea what he's talking about. Now, again, he's got the lens, the iris, and everything mixed up with the camera, for one, okay? It doesn't matter the size of the iris, Phil, okay? And the lens for what you're using won't benefit you. Yes, you can get big honking lenses for awesome zoom, right? That's the point of the lens, is for zoom, not for fucking your image quality, Phil. That's not how a lens works. You're looking at the iris and then the image processor. Now, right now, let's take a look at this. I've got Phil at 1080p 60, but it's not 1080p 60. This camera that Phil captures on his live stream, the webcam, is running at 480p, okay? So it's not even running anywhere close to 1080p 60. Now, Phil's excuse for that is it'll use 90% of his CPU usage if he does that, okay? Now, currently, I've got this video going. You can see CPU usage about 10-11%, right? If you look at the camera on the left, right, the YouTube short camera, right? Of course, the iPhone 6 is going to be better because the camera is an 8-megapixel camera. It's newer than the webcam. Okay, and you can see he's got 810 dislikes and 444 likes, like almost getting doubled in dislikes. Now, looking at the image quality, yes, so much better. Phil looks really, really young on the right. Phil looks like he's in his late 50s on the left, right? And of course, he's got to have his ring on to ensure that he plays that character of a married man and a successful married man and a loving husband, right? Even though all I did for Kat yesterday was buy her sushi. Like, good job, Phil. So now let's take a look at what camera Phil has. Okay, what webcam? X out of that. It's my rain sounds. So what Phil is using is a Logitech C920S. Now, there's 3 versions of the C920S. There's the C920S, the X, and the Pro. I'm going with the Pro because it sounds like something stupid that Phil would have bought. Now, there really is no difference between those cameras except for the microphone. Okay? Now, the 920S is capable of 1080p 30. Bring everything up here. So here are the specs for the camera, right? So it's only a 3 megapixel camera compared to the 8 megapixel camera on the iPhone 6, okay? Phil has got the software set up wrong, of course, right? He doesn't know how to use it. He says the camera's damaged. All he has to do is replace the fucking USB-C cable, or not USB-C, the mini USB that's on it, and he'd be fine. I'm going to be doing another video on why Phil refuses to update and going into USB mismatch problems that he is probably having. And we'll get into more on that in a different video. But, so this is the camera that Phil uses. 99% sure now this is what he uses. It's not a very, well, for the time that he bought it, it was probably one of the top of the line web cameras you can get. And it actually has a special feature. This camera has built-in hardware encoding. So that immediately debunks Phil's claims that it would skyrocket his CPU to like 90% CPU usage. This is the first series of cameras that Logitech released that supported hardware encoding, because at the time that this camera came out, systems lacked good hardware encoding. It didn't exist back then, and you had to use software, which 1080p was very, very difficult to do. So Logitech teamed with Skype. Back then it was Skype, it wasn't Microsoft, because Microsoft later bought Skype. And onboard encoding built into the Logitech web cameras. In 2012, Logitech C920 became the first webcam certified by Skype to encode H.264 at 1080p 30. Now, immediately, right, like I said, it debunks Phil's claims of 90% CPU usage because the camera does hardware encoding. So Phil doing a webcam on his stream will not really affect performance when he's using software encoding. Now, like I've said in the prior video, Phil really set up his system wrong. His AverMedia software, like I shown in the last video, this is how you don't beg video, he set up the AverMedia software incorrectly. He set it to software encoding, which then forces the system to use software encoding, meaning that he cannot enable hardware encoding through OBS. What Phil can do, he has 2 options. One, uninstall the shitty AverMedia software, right, which is what I would do, and just use a video capture device through OBS to capture your image, and then use that to control everything. Or 2, set within the AverMedia software hardware encoding. Phil has a 780 Ti. The 700 series from NVIDIA was the first GPU hardware encoder from NVIDIA that enabled hardware encoding. H.264. Now, so Phil can do hardware encoding on his system. Now, let's look at his iPhone 6. So here's the camera on his iPhone 6. It's an iSight camera, 8 megapixel. Is able to capture 1080p 60 with True Tone flash, slow-mo video, time-lapse video, blah, 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 blah. Everything that you want in a camera. Now, the phone cameras are amazing cameras, okay? Even on like the latest, like the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 14 and the latest Samsung. I have a Samsung S10 Plus. Now, what I'm going to do here is I am going to enable video capture. Why do I have 2 screens here? Oh, cool. That's good. That's good. See how I fucked that up? I'll remove that because we don't need it. Now, like I said, I have a Samsung S10 Plus, which is capable of 4K 60 FPS and HDR10 Plus. But I've configured my system to be identical to Phil's. Now, I'm not using 480p. Now, what I want you to do is keep your eye on the CPU usage. Now, as you can see, did the CPU usage change? Maybe by 1%, okay? Now, again, I'm using my Samsung phone. Now, the awesome feature with the Samsung phone is the following. Yes, the camera's wireless. I can walk around my room here, my home theater, right? I'm sitting in the dark here because that's what I do. Here's Titan. You guys remember Titan? That I rebuilt live on stream? Right? Wires are a fucking mess. I really got to fix that. But this is the feature, and this will also work for Phil's iPhone. So remember when Phil was trying to see Jasper in the closet, he was like this, look at how clean my desk is. I cleaned everything up, my tablet. Moved my networking onto the other side of the wall here to the right of Titan. There's my tripod. There's the $9 clamp that I can attach my phone to when I want to use it, right? And as you can see, CPU usage hasn't changed. So by me adding this capture to the video, and again, I am encoding using software encoder, which means it's going to be using the CPU rather than the GPU. So that tells you exactly. Ooh, look at that microphone. Isn't that a nice mic? So that tells you exactly how Phil is lying, right? It's not going to use 90% of his CPU usage. The CPU usage did not change. So Phil can run 1080p 30 on his webcam, or he can do 1080p 60 using his iPhone 6. Now, the iPhone 6 itself is not, well, all he needs to do is he needs to, one, I use right here, I'll show you guys. I use DroidCam. Now, I paid for this because it gives me extra features. I can control everything from here, right? You can do your zoom, you can do your autofocus, you can enable the flash, mirror it, rotate it, right? Take pictures and everything. It's an excellent piece of software. I think it was like $4 for the entire software, right? And it allows me to control everything. And it allows the camera to either, if I go into here, DroidCam, and you go underneath start and you have a couple modes, right? Now I'm currently running in 1080p, right? Because I want to be better than Phil. If I went to 480p, right, it would look probably like shit, like Phil does, all blurry and everything. But it offers you, to coin a phrase from Phil, a robust set of features that you can control your phone with and your camera with. This in turn would give Phil a better quality stream. Now, again, Phil's going to lie, right? Because he wants that new computer. He wants to make sure that the pay cucks buy this computer for him, even though he doesn't need it. And I'm proving it here right now that he can perfectly stream 1080p 60, webcam and all, and it will not affect his performance. As you can see, adding the video capture to OBS did not affect CPU usage. And this is what I mean when Phil claims, like in that last video I did where he claimed that Bassmaster was going to, because of the reflections in the thing or whatever, and it's going to increase the CPU usage. No, that's a 100% lie. And I actually had a one of Phil's fucking dents comment on that video stating how I was wrong and Phil was right. This proves you wrong right now. I just want to throw that out there. Okay? Enabling capture device into OBS while you're streaming or encoding will not increase performance of your, or will not increase CPU usage or degrade performance at all. Now, again, this video I'm encoding at 4K 60. My camera's set to 1080p 60. Phil is set at 480p 30. So, and then upscaled, of course, using YouTube's algorithm. Now, again, Phil doesn't need this type of setup. It's not worth it for Phil. He's not going to utilize it, right? When he wants that $3,000, that $1,500 computer. Phil's PC right now is perfectly capable of doing 1080p 60, right? It's not going to massively spike in performance, or in usage, CPU usage. He just wants you to buy him a new computer. And I've said this before, do not give him any money. Do not tip him. Do not super chat him. Do not donate to his Patreon, which is a scam in and of itself. He's a 40-year-old man who has never worked a hard day in his life, been fired from every single job he's ever had because of who he is as a person, right? And all he does is he shows up on stream and he lies and he lies and he lies. That's who Phil is. Okay, and I hope this video has given you some insight, again, as to if you're going to be starting your own streams, of what you need to be able to do your stream. Don't listen to Phil, okay? Phil thinks you need some god tier fucking 32 core 64 thread CPU with 256 gigs of RAM and a dual 3090 Ti to be able to stream at 1080p 60. No. You can fucking do that on your phone. Okay? Like that, you don't need a massive high-end computer to do it. And I've proven that with many of these videos. Now, I am going to be doing another video, like I said earlier on, that I'm going to be doing an updating video, why Phil doesn't update any of his stuff and the problems that he runs into because he doesn't update. There will also be a video that will go into USB amps and DACs because Phil actually has one. I know when Jasper got into the closet there and Phil was trying to show it there, people thought he had a router on his table. No, that wasn't a router. That was a USB DAC and amp. And there is zero fucking reason why Phil has that, because he doesn't have any XLR devices like his microphone or his headset, because the toilet seat headset from Hori doesn't support XLR. Now, and it wouldn't work with the amp anyways because it has to be plugged into the controller in order to work. So I don't know why he has a USB amp and DAC, but I'm going to go into that into another video. This Friday, again, if you guys are interested, I will be doing the restream of Fight Night, and Heather P and I will be playing World of Warcraft. Now, if anybody wants in on that, please DM me on Discord. You can find me on, that being said, Discord, or Meerkat's Discord, or Raven's Discord. I'm all over the place there. So we'll be doing 5-man dungeons. We'll be doing whatever. Just queuing up. I'm on Alliance side. Heather's character's on Alliance side. But there is cross-faction play now, so that is an option. So if you want in, please DM me. And I want to thank you guys for listening to this video. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you guys in the next one.